I'm Rory Macleod, and currently I stay on the Isle of Lewis. Before that I was a parish minister on the Isle of Skye. In fact, that's where I began my ministry, but in between times I served as a military chaplain in the Royal Navy and also as parish minister of Holy Trinity, the town church in St Andrews.
How did your difficulties with the Church of Scotland begin?
On Wednesday, the 26th of February, out of the blue, I received a phone call to inform me that I was being suspended and that I would receive an email shortly afterwards with the reasons for my suspension. At the time, I was speaking on behalf of Clare LNE, the Church of Scotland in the Highlands at Hebrides, as an invited guest at another denomination's annual conference. So this came completely out of the blue, and it came with it a warning that I wasn't to breathe a word of what had happened. But believing this to be the unlawful action of an illegitimate body that had just been set up the night before for the purpose, I felt that I had a duty to draw to the attention of others what was happening so that they could take appropriate action.
What were the specific allegations?
It was half a dozen allegations that ranged from overspending on my travels and inappropriate help and advice to those I served as presbytery clerk. However, as I would contend, I was within budget, and the advice that I was giving was pastorally oriented and grounded in church law.
So is it fair to sum it up as a row over expenses, another expenses scandal?
I don't see how it could be that, because, as I say, I was within my budget, and as the mobile clerk, because that's what I was appointed to be, I had no office, I was expected to be at large throughout the presbytery, which covers 42% of Scotland. Also, my request for a camper van, which would have given me control over my costs, had been turned down, so I was at the mercy of travel and accommodation costs as I encountered them. I believe the origin of the row was more a personality clash between myself and my line manager, who was the convener of the Presbytery's business committee. But it was subsequently revealed that relationship was part of a much wider network reaching to the most senior echelons of the National Church Office, all of which, for some reason, which is still unclear to me, decided that I needed to be got rid of.
So there was a process. What happened?
Ironically, the due process was not followed, because in such cases, if there are concerns, there should be an informal consultation to ascertain whether there might be a more straightforward arrangement that would correct any perceived inappropriate activities. Instead, I was simply suspended, and then because I breached the instruction to remain silent, that was quickly elevated to a meeting of the steering group, which had been set up the night before my suspension, in order to dismiss me for gross misconduct.
So what happened?
I appealed. And I was summoned to an appeal hearing on Friday the 3rd of April. That was chaired by the Reverend Professor Andrew McGowan, the former principal of the Highland Theological College, and on the panel were Dave Thompson, the former MSP, and Christine Mackenzie, a well-respected local elder from Inverness. At that appeal hearing, I learned information of which I had not previously been aware, that revealed how what was happening to me was part of a collusion between members of the Presbytery Business Committee and senior figures in the church's national office. Now, the result of that appeal panel hearing was that my appeal was upheld, and in normal circumstances, I gather, that would have completely exonerated me and enabled me to return to work without delay. However, it was only conceded that the appeal dealt with my dismissal, and that therefore I was put back under suspension from where I've been ever since.
The church has told us that that is because of their allegations of bias. What's your reaction to that?
Well, I didn't appoint the appeal panel, and so I think that's a stretch of credibility, stretching the rest of our credulity. Unfortunately, we haven't had the opportunity to test that because although I've received over 200 emails of expressing solidarity and support from throughout the presbytery and beyond, and I know that letters have been written to the moderator of Clare L&E, the Reverend Doug Roberts, asking for a meeting, indeed asking for the report, the appeal report, to be released. It still hasn't been released. We're now well into May, and so it's over a month. That appeal report has not been officially released, but nor have presbyters been given an opportunity to hold to account those who are behind what has happened. And that's a very serious breach of what it means to be a Presbyterian church, where presbyters are trustees personally responsible for what has been done in their name. Everything that has happened to me has been done in the name of the presbytery.
How hopeful are you of a satisfactory resolution for you?
Well, my priority at the moment is not my own interest. My priority at the moment is, first of all, to expose what a colleague of mine has described as the rottenness at the core of the Church of Scotland, and then to secure a fair deal for others whom I know to have been similarly treated by me, as me, not by me, who've been similarly treated to the way in which I've been treated, and then to provide an appropriate opportunity for faithful congregations and ministers who wish or who see the writing on the wall and wish to depart from what is frankly a sinking ship while there is time and opportunity to do that.
What's this row all about? Is it between moderates and not so moderates, or something else?
I think there is certainly a battle at the heart of the national church, and the way I've seen things going over recent months and years is that the church has steadily pulled away from two of its founding principles. It's pulled away from its theological identity as an evangelical church, and it's pulling away from its organizational moorings as a church governed by presbyters.
What do you think is going to happen next, and what would you like to happen next?
Well, experience suggests that what will happen next is that there will be further evasiveness and obfuscation by the Church National Office and by the Presbytery Business Committee of Clare L&E. But as far as what I would like to happen next, I go back to the scriptures where at chapter 5 and verse 11 of his letter to the Ephesians, the Apostle Paul says has nothing to do with the fruitless deeds of darkness, but instead expose them. And I think that's what needs to happen. Somebody somewhere needs to remove the lid and reveal what indeed is going on here, not just to me, but to other people who have been similarly treated.